Institute of Tax Administration, ITA, IFM. Maureen Nyerere Memorial University. See you at Kampala University. Go Kampala. Ustawi Wadumi? No Ustawi? Let's see. Maybe they're coming. Duse? TIA, Tanzania Institute of Accounting. St. Joseph University? Really, St. Joseph? Really? Let me give you a second chance. St. Joseph University? That's what I'm talking about. St. John? They're coming into? We need to try something else. And so, you know what? Since I'm yet to introduce myself. I'm yet to introduce the day. I know. But since I had like different voices that are not coordinated, it got me thinking, as Tanzanian women, do we have one voice that we can all stand together and say, this is our voice? Do we have one voice? Do we? Do you think? Do you believe in it? Can I test it? Okay, so here's the thing. I can't sing. I can't sing to save my life, but I'm going to embarrass myself right now. And I'm looking for people to embarrass themselves with me because I'm just looking for a voice. Can we find a voice? Okay. Wanawake na maendeleo. Wanawake kina mama. Wanawake. Yes! Guys, let me ask something else. If a theme, so I'm going to be mixing Swahili and English, just because I can. The theme for International Women's Day this year was what? I've given you. Let's say it loud again. The theme was what? So my big question is, if the theme was press for progress, in this year 2018, in your very individual capacity, how have you been pressing for progress? Think about it because we come back to you later. Sindio? Now, I thought of many ways of starting the day, you know? And then I wondered, I'm like, what if we engage men? What if, okay, let's try to look at it. Can I ask for all my fellow brothers who are in this room to stand? If you believe you're a man. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being with us, because this is what I believe. In order for us to talk, we need men to be part of this conversation, right? So thank you so much for being here. And so I'm going to call two of my good, very friends. They have a music that I want to see. If I ask them, I'm like, do you guys know girls' issues? Do you guys understand what women go through? Before we even start pressing for progress and looking at the theme today, and invite people to start giving us all this amazing talk and what we are doing, I asked two of my very good friends to come and put what men think a woman or a girl is in action. So yes, it's girls in action, but we're asking men too. We are here to act, right? Give it up to Leroy Sani and Matthew Nayi.
So we're just going to share this little piece with you. Is not afraid. Love is not a game. Love is not a reason to get me married before I'm aged. Love does not enslave, never ends in rage. Love demands we amplify that conviction rate. Kila siku tu najiulizaje, bila neno mapenzi hii dunia ingekuwaje? Ukitaka unidanganye ungesemaje, na ninajua lengo lako uniumize. Binti ni hodari, binti ni jemedari, binti ni gangari, unaweza binti ni imara, binti si hasara. Simama kama mnara, jipe moyo utashinda. Love is not a fake. Love is all the voices that never break out of the silence. Yeah, because he doesn't know that we're getting closer. He strikes another. We come again with a fire in our eyes, with a white Mama kamnara, jipe moyo utashinda. Binti ni hodari, binti ni jemedari, binti ni gangari, unaweza kumlinda. Binti ni imara, binti si hasara. Simama kamnara, jipe moyo utashinda. Simama kamnara, jipe moyo utashinda.
I'm going to put these guys on the spot. Binti ni hodari, a girl is bold. Binti ni jemadari, a girl is a fighter. Binti ni imara, a girl is strong. So binti si hasara, a girl is not a loss. Simama kama mnara, stand as a tower. Unaweza kumlinda. We can all protect her. What inspired these lyrics?
I think for me what inspired the lyrics is I feel women are more than we give them credit for. And I'd like to see that more and more women could stand up, and be what I believe that they are. So it's to say that I believe we're coming to an age where it's no longer a man and then a woman. It's a man and a woman.
I'm not going to add nothing on that. So, karibu sana. Welcome. This is how we've started, eh? Did you guys enjoy that? Yeah. Were you guys inspired? Yeah. Did you feel like you're strong? Yeah. Do I have fighters in here? Yeah. Do I have girls who are willing to stand at the tower? Yeah. All right, I'm in the right group. So start today. The theme of the day is Praise for Progress, but we are going to look at young women in their place in modern economy. Mchango wa mabinti katika swala zima la uchumi wa kisasa ni upi? Sitaongea sana, nitamkaribisha rafiki yangu. Mtu ambaye amepata maono haya, ambaye amepata ujasiri wa kutuita sisi wote hapa. I'll welcome to the stage a friend of mine, a lady I adore, I admire for her boldness, but she saw the vision to call all of us, Miriam Mauki, to tell us more about the day and the girls in action.
Ooh. Are you hot like I am? Can I hear you, girl? Hello? Every time you say, girls in action, you say, we are here too? We are here too? Girls in action. I want you to see like that. Girls in action. Exactly, we are here to act. I'm so happy to see you guys. You're looking so beautiful. So beautiful. So beautiful. Thank you for comment. I'm so happy and honored to have good people and a powerful like Senior Vice President and General Counsel of World Bank, Sandy Okar. I'm so happy to have you here. Then I'm so happy to have the country director of Tanzania, Burundi, Malawi, and Somalia, and Madam Belabad. You look so beautiful. And I'm so happy to have my mama, Dr. Kafanabo. So happy to have you. Friend of mine, Professor Tandiluaga, my young sis, Rebecca Guni. Sometimes you challenge me, you make me to be here, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy to have you here. Hello. Do you know me? Really? Okay. Jina langu naitwa Miriam Lukindo Mauki. Ni mtoto ambaye nilizaliwa nje ya ndoa. I'm the girl ambaye every time nilikuwa na heard about, you will not go anywhere. But sikutaka kuwa kama ninavyosikia, because I know where I want to go. Hello? Hello. Then I'm a mother of 2 beautiful girls. And I'm a wife of the handsome man. And I'm a singer. I'm a gospel artist singer from 99. Where are you that time? And then I write some book. But today I'm here to tell you what I believe on you. What I believe on you. I want to talk about girls in action. About to talk about you na ujasiri na uwezo ulionao kufikia mahali ambako unataka kwenda. Girls in Action ipo kwa ajili ya kuamsha, kuweka nguvu ili kuweza kukusaidia kufikisha katika maono na mipango ulionayo. Girls in Action ipo kwa ajili ya kukuwezesha kuzifikia ndoto zako. Tupo kukuamsha, tupo kukuwezesha, and tupo kukuguide mpaka ufikie mahali unataka kuwa. Hello. Ninaamini kwamba sio mimi ambaye nimewahi kusikia kwamba you'll not make it. Wangapi wameshaambiwa uwezi? How many there? You have been told you can do it. You can't. But just imagine you are here, and I believe kuna vitu vingi ambavyo umefanya na umeona ukifanya siku hadi siku. That right? Ninayo imani kubwa sana kwa mwanamke mdogo kama wewe. Kwa sababu sisi ndio ambao tunatakiwa kusimama na kutetea what we have. Ninayo imani kubwa sana na wewe pale ulipo. Tumeshazoea kuona watu wenye majina makubwa wanatajwa kila siku ni watu wale wale. But let me tell you, I believe in you. Kwa sababu naamini kama tutaweza kukuinua wewe, ukasimama, ukakaa kwenye nafasi yako kama mwanamke, ukafanya yale yanayotakiwa kufanya kama mwanamke, pako mahali pakubwa sana tunaenda. That right, girl? Ninaamini kama tutaanza kukufundisha nao, tutaanza kukutrain kuhusu biashara, tutaanza kuongea na wewe sasa kuhusu uchumi, kuhusu mahusiano, kuhusu jamii inayokuzunguka. Ninaamini kama tunaanza sasa, tutakuwa na kizazi ambacho chenye watu wakubwa ambao wanaamini kwanza wao wenyewe. Mimi naamini wewe kufika ulipo sio kwa sababu ni ada ya mzazi wako, kwa sababu unaamini kwamba unaweza kufika unakoenda. Natamani tuanze kuwaza. Wako wasichana wengi sana ambao nyinyi wenyewe ni shahidi, wako waliomaliza vyuo mbele yenu, wengi ambao bado hawajapata ajira, ambao bado wanazunguka. Lakini sisi tunaweza tukaanza kuwaza sasa hivi. Tukaanza, we have to prepare the table kwa ajili ya watu wengine. Tunatakiwa tuandae nafasi za kazi, andaa nafasi za ajira kwa jamii inayokuzunguka. Anza kubrand yourself from today, because you can do it. Anza kuweka imani wewe mwenyewe hata kwenye mahusiano yako ulionayo, kwa sababu you are beautiful. Anza kujiweka wewe mwenyewe. Mimi nina imani na wewe unatakiwa uanze kujiamini. Naamini wako wengi ambao tunawaona wanawake ambao tunatamani kuwa kama wao. I was following a story about Vice President Sandy. It's a nice story. Very nice story. Ninaamini you have your story, right? You have your story. Paka hapo ulipofika. So I want not only to have the story, to accomplish it. Kuhakikisha unafikia unachokitamani kufikia. You have to prove to them. Stand, act, do, and make sure you know where you are going. Hello? I know si muda mrefu sana tutaanza kuona big company ambazo zinaongozwa na ninyi ambao mko hapa. Young man anayekuja kukuapproach anatakiwa aanze kukuona from outside kabla ya inside. Aanze kukuona huyu wewe ni nani. Hello? So we have to stand kwa umoja, tuhakikishe tunayafikia malengo yetu. Ninaamini nafasi kubwa ambazo zipo leo, kesho nitakuona wewe kwenye hizo nafasi kubwa. ninaamini kwa the way ulivyo, beautifulness yako ya outside, the same na beauty yako ya inside, nitaona beauty yako ya future yako very soon. So tupo kwa ajili ya kukuamsha and train you kufikia malengo yako. Natamani kuendelea sana, lakini wakati tunafanya maandalizi ya event hii, I have my beautiful friend ambaye amekuwa bega kwa bega na mimi siku hadi siku ili tuhakikishe young women tunasimama. Alifanyiwa operation ya koo. She's here today. And I challenge her today. And I say, I want you to show them you can do it. You can talk. You can stand and speak something. So she will be here to read the speech. Irene, you're welcome. It will be the first time to talk, tokea alivotoka kwenye operation. But I want her to know she can do it. She can do it. You can talk. Thank you. Umefika wakati sio wa sisi kufanya. Umefika wakati wa kukuwezesha wewe kufanya. Tuache kugombania nafasi tulizonazo. We are here to prepare a table. We are here kuandaa nafasi ili wewe ufanye. Ili kufanya, you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. If you believe in yourself, you will stand and do it, no matter what. You're welcome.
Greetings to you all. I will need your support in this because Miriam has given me a very big responsibility. I did not think this could happen today, but for some reason, for us women, we usually believe things which are never possible. We see possibilities in impossibilities. So this is one of those instances. My name is Irene Musokwa. I'm an advocate, and Miriam is a very good friend of mine. And when she shared this vision with me, I said, Miriam, let's do this. Let's do this for the girls in Tanzania. Let's do this for the girls in Africa. And you know what? Let's do it for the girls of the world. Because something small birthed in Tanzania can become something that can have an impact globally. Women, there is nothing that we cannot do. Your small vision can become an international phenomenon. Dear Madam Senior Vice President and General Counsel of World Bank Group, Ms. Sandy Okoro, dear World Bank Director for Tanzania, Burundi, Malawi, and Somalia, Bella Bird, distinguished guests, dear participants, all protocols observed. Let me begin by thanking all of you for coming to this event. I'm sure some of you may have heard of Girls in Action initiative sometime this week or sometime today. This means that your presence here tells me two things. One, is that you believe in the power of young women and their potential. And two, is that you are passionate and curious enough to engage with them and share your experiences. If I am right about those two things, and I suspect I am, you're in the right company. So please feel at home. Relax. Girls in Action Initiative is a non-profit organization started for the purpose of unlocking young girls' potentials. Our aim is economic empowerment for women. We want to challenge our young girls to have a mindset of action. We want to infuse them with confidence and allow them to perform well in the fields they choose to venture in. The initiative started organically. Girls in Action Initiative started operating as a mentorship platform 2 years ago. We started training, coaching, and encouraging young women. In the beginning, most of the coaching happened over social media platforms, groups were formed, and trainers provided content. With time, however, the simple social media groups evolved into monthly and quarterly events, which young girls loved because they met like-minded friends who were focused and wanted to do something with their lives. There is something special about young girls meeting mentors, people who have the skills, people who have the ability to awaken their sense of possibility. Not long after these trainings, members of the Girls in Action Initiative were owning small businesses, selling fashion products, to owning restaurants. It is indeed a great pleasure to have you today, because we know there is a girl in the audience, or one that will see your speech online. This girl will hear your life story, and this will not only inspire them, but they will be challenged to take action. As our motto states, we at Girls in Action Initiative are here. I want to hear some girls out there who believe that they're here to act. We at Girls Initiative, we are? Yes. We at Girls in Action Initiative are here? Yes. When you don't have a voice, when you can't speak, you will miss your voice. Today, I can't raise my voice. So please, say it for me. We at Girls in Action Initiative are? Yes. Come on, shout it. We are here. We are here. That's more like it. You're saying it for me today. We've specifically chosen to target young women in universities and secondary schools, not only because this is a period of their formative years, but because we believe that young women may be the key to unlock the economic potential of our country and continent. Unemployment is a key global challenge. Africa and Tanzania are no exception. This challenge is also demographic. Africa is the youngest continent. More young people will join the labor market every year. Close to 1 million young people enter the labor market every year in Tanzania, but the formal labor market absorbs less than 150,000 graduates annually. This is the current employment status in our country. The situation is a potential tragedy and needs immediate solutions, since graduates are frustrated and stressed. We would like to harness the energies of these young people instead of losing them to unemployment, which is a recipe for social problems, among others. Against that background, Girls in Action Initiative, in collaboration with partners, are glad the World Bank Tanzania has partnered with us today. We're doing our best to bridge the existing problem of massive unemployment by preparing these beautiful young women to enter the labor market with a very new perspective and approach that is creating their own employment opportunities. As observed in our platform, many of the girls are at college pursuing their studies,
but still are operating businesses and other projects for the sake of employing themselves and finally living their individual visions and dreams. We believe economic empowerment for women makes common sense. We also know that we cannot achieve parity if we do not let women take their financial lives into their own hands. Our mission, therefore, overlaps with that of the World Bank. We are proud to have now reached 700 young women with our training programs. Today, you will meet some of the beneficiaries of these programs, and you will see for yourself how simple interventions can lead to actual economic empowerment for young women. Going forward, Girls in Action Initiative is looking to open business development centers in every region in Tanzania. We believe women everywhere should have access to a mentor and a trainer. In many cases, all these girls need someone to trust them, encourage them, and empower them. As we always say, a girl with a dream is fire. Say, a girl with a dream is fire. And say it like you're set on fire. A girl with a dream is... You don't sound like you're set on fire. A girl with a dream is... We truly believe in the power of young women. Once again, let me thank you for taking the time from what must be a very hectic and busy schedule to come and share your experience with us. We're truly humbled and honored. Your presence here is indeed a reflection of the importance you place in empowering women. It is also a reflection of the World Bank's commitment to gender parity. We hope to engage and work with you in the future to achieve these noble aims. God bless you all.
She did, right? Thank you, Irene. Once again, thank you so much. Thank you.
Wow. Are you guys already set on fire? So I realize I'm such a girl in action. I didn't even tell you what my name is. So my name is Abella Bateyunga, and I'm your host for today. As Irene was talking, I was reminded of one poem that I'll read quickly, and then I'll have our next guest here. There's a quote I saw sometimes back that says, "Don't make me extraordinary to get yourself off the hook." So when you see all these beautiful, amazing women, Miriam, Irene, and more to come, don't look at them and say, "That's them and that's me. I can't be where they are." The idea is to create a platform where we are all in the same space. So whoever is talking here, feel like you can actually do better. You are inspired to become more, right? Is that a deal, guys? So this is something I want to let you reflect on. The poem is called Our Deepest Fear. Just think about it. It says, our deepest fear is not that we are adequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frighten us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightening about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine. As children do, we were born to make the manifest, the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people the permission to do the same. And as we liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Do you see that?
Morning. This is such a great honor to be here today and among the midst of our fellow ladies from the World Bank. If you hear the World Bank, it's just like you see the big banks all sitting under this big thing, and they're talking to us, inspiring us, especially if you look at the leaders of this World Bank, they are women. The president, who is here with us all the way from Washington, karibu sana. Our country director, she's also a woman. So you can imagine all these big figures sitting here with us today. It is a great honor for all of us. So karibu sana, country director. So, my name is Eugenia Kafanabo. I work at the University of Dar es Salaam. I'm a lecturer in the School of Education. I've been there for more than 20 years now, training teachers to be teachers and tutors in teacher training colleges, in schools. But I've been passionate to see how girls progress towards the education career. We work very hard to talk to them. And here today, we have Girls in Action initiative trying to tell us what we should do. But not only telling us, it is to remind us. I think we do know what we are supposed to do, but we are being reminded. And I have some few points which I have prepared. I said, maybe we should talk about these and see if, and only if, it will help us to be reminded, guided on the way forward. When I was told to talk about economic empowerment, it does not come just like that, sitting and waiting. It has to come from the inner part of our hearts. Are we ready? Do we want to be something out there? When I was schooling, when I walked through the university campus, the biggest thing I wanted was to be educated and also be part of the students at the university. And that was my passion. I said, one day, I want to be a student, to talk to other girls and say, I'm studying at the University of Dar es Salaam. I'm doing a certain degree. So I had to work very, very hard. And this means you also have to have something inside your heart that talks to you. The gut feeling that tells you, this is what I'm passionate in. What do you want to be? The economic empowerment does not just come like that. You have to start planning now. Today. And this is what we are saying. You need to build up confidence. Change of your mindset. Most of us, we have that thing, we are saying, yuko mtu ananisomea huko. That is my husband. No. No problem. He'll be working, I'll be working, staying at home. He'll bring everything to me. That should not be your motto. Start planning today. Work hard. Change of your mindset. Don't think that somebody is going to do that for you. You have to do it yourself. Share responsibilities. That should be the way forward. If you get educated today, you get employed, it means you're going to have your own salary. And that will be the starting point. Plan your own activities. This is what I want to buy. This is what I'm planning. I want to take my children to a good school. I want to do this. I want to do that. But it won't come if you won't get educated. And better education. We are saying, what is the motto for this year? Progress will not come if you don't start today. So, What we have to do, apart from changing our mindset, we need to be creative. Creativity. Since we are educated, we are coming from different fields: education, health, technology, business, accountants, taxes. I had different institutions. But what do you want to be? Differently. That is creativity. Differently. For example, those who are coming from the health departments, the nurses, medical personnel, the doctors, pharmacists, what do you want to tell us? What do you want to change? And how are you going to change? We are told now the biggest thing which is happening and all over the news and TV is women and children. Every time you talk about things is women and children. When you talk about children with disabilities, it's women and children. When you talk about the sick people out there, it's women and children. And women are always behind all these sectors. How do we help these women as people who are coming from the health sector? You need to be creative. How best should we help them? It was just about 2 weeks ago. It was the International Day for Menstruation. We are going again back to the girls and women. How do we help them? Creativity now. How do we support them? We have people, I know we have engineers here. The structures within the schools, we don't have water. The girls are suffering. Especially when it comes to menstruation. They have to miss 2, 3, 4 days of the month. To us in education, if you count all these days per year, how many days does this young girl miss? You can imagine. So the suffering of a girl and a woman, we have to think and be creative. How creative should we be to solve some of these issues? But not only that, we need to build confidence. Some of us are not very confident on whatever we are thinking. Tunaachia, tunasema, bwana, yule ni Miriam Mauki, bwana, ndio peke yake, basi, sisi tutakaa huko. Hapana. Na sisi tukimbie nyuma Miriam Mauki. Tukimbie nyuma Dr. Kafanabo. Tukimbie nyuma Professor Luoga. Sasa hivi tukikaa chuo kikuu, we are trying to think, how do we inspire girls? We walk, we go to schools and talk to them. You can do it. You can be a doctor. You can be a professor. You can be anybody you want. It just has to come from the inner part of your heart. So, girls in action, tumesemaje? We are here to act. So you need to act. What I'm also saying is that you have to raise up. Put your heads together. Think around what you are thinking and say, this is what I want to do in future. It has to start with a plan. Put up a framework. Say, this is how I'm going to increase my economy by doing an activity. Say, for example, you love cooking. What can you do with the cooking? Maybe you are planning to be a caterer. Maybe you want to plan to bake cakes. Maybe you are planning to bake bread. Maybe you are planning to start a restaurant. Maybe you are planning, maybe. But how best are you going to do with the idea? The creativity has to come in. The good, nice plan has to come in. The best timing you need to have. So that you should be different from the other restaurants we see. You should be different from the other cakes we eat. That has to make a difference, and that is why we are here. You always have to be different. And this has to come from the inner part. Use technology. We have a lot of technologies which you can make use of. The internet, the Instagram, what have you. Make use of those. And if you read some of the readings which our former president, Nyerere, wrote, he loved the women and the girls. He worked very hard to make sure the girls also are seen in their communities. And he saw the girls or the women like young chicks. For example, a chick of an eagle, when they're all small, like the chicks of chickens, they're all similar. So imagine this chick of an eagle falls into the chicks of the chicken, and they are raised together. This young chick of the eagle will not grow as the other. So Nyerere is saying, as you grow, you have to fight. And that is why the other musician was saying, we are fighters. So you have to fight. As a chick of an eagle, you grow and you have to get away from the other chicks. So young women fly, and fly out of the chickens, and you are a beautiful eagle and aspire. Thank you very much.
And the executive director of Msichana Initiative, a local NGO that aims to empower girls through education and address key issues that limit girls' rights. She's worked with Femina. We all saw her on TV. We grew up with her. She's a lawyer by profession. And she decided to use her legal knowledge to challenge this case, man. And she made history in the country. Child marriage is no longer, a small force. I think we should all just stand for a minute and just honor. I know people keep thanking you all the time, but I've never gotten to thank you for doing this for all the girls in Tanzania. I know there's a lot of work to do in the future, but can we please, guys, just stand for a minute and just thank her? On behalf of all girls and women in the country. Rebecca, we thank you. And my question to you is very simple. Rebecca, a girl child and a place in shaping the society in Tanzania.
Thank you so much, Dada Bella. Thank you, guys. You can sit. Thank you so much. Asante sana. I'm really humbled and honored to be here this morning. Mambo zenu. A very good morning to our invited guest of honor and distinguished guest, Ms. Sandy Okoro. It's a pleasure to have you this morning. Mama Bella, because you're like a Tanzanian, right? So we can call you Mama Bella, right? Tunashukuru sana kuwa na nyinyi asubuhi. So I will speak in Swahili kwa sababu nataka kuongea na wasichana wenzangu. Na naamini kuna translator watatusaidia kufikisha ujumbe kwa wageni wetu. Nimepewa topic ambayo ni muhimu sana, na wakati nafikiria ni kitu gani naweza nikashare na wasichana wenzangu kuhusiana na topic hii na nafasi yetu kama wasichana katika uchumi wa leo, lakini tukiangalia zaidi kwenye nafasi yetu kwenye jamii, nilikuwa na mawazo mengi sana jinsi gani au nini nitasema ambacho nafikiri kinaweza kikaongeza kitu kwenye maisha yetu na kuongeza ari ya kutaka kufanya zaidi. Ni ukweli kwamba katika uchumi wa sasa hivi, ili tuweze kushindana kama wasichana, ni lazima tuwekeze katika elimu. Na nikizungumza kuhusu elimu, tunazungumza elimu yote, elimu rasmi na isiyo rasmi. Kwa maana umeenda shule au umeenda kwenye mifumo ambayo isiyo rasmi, namna yote utakapotaka kuitafsiri, formal and informal education is very important for us to be able to compete in the modern economy. Lakini vile vile tukiangalia hata katika job market na masuala ya ujasiriamali, yote kwa namna moja au nyingine yanatuhitaji sisi kama wasichana tuwe na ujuzi. We need to have skills. Na skills either acquired au tumezipata kupitia learning initiatives. We need to have skills ili tuweze kusurvive kwa namna yoyote, whether you want to be employed in a job market or you want to start your own entrepreneurship initiative. Lakini vile vile one reality about all this fact is that ni ukweli usiopingika kwamba wasichana wengi sana ili tuweze kuclaim our position in a male dominated world, lazima pia tuwekeze katika elimu yetu. Pamoja na ukweli huu wote, bado nafasi ya msichana katika kupata elimu haiko kama vile ambavyo tunategemea au tunapenda. Kuna changamoto nyingi sana ambazo zinawafanya wasichana washindwe kupata fursa ya kupata elimu. Na lazima katika kazi zetu tunazofanya siku zote tuweze kuhakikisha kwamba wasichana wanamaliza elimu yao. Na mimi naamini kwamba elimu ni solution to all issues that girls are facing at the moment in our country. Na kuna masuala mengi. Kuna masuala ya mimba za utotoni. I think you guys, you all know, when we talk about teen pregnancy, sasa hivi takwimu zimepanda sana sana sana. Kutoka 24% tuna 27% ya wasichana ambao wanapata mimba kabla ya kufikisha miaka 18. Hili ni tatizo. Tuna matatizo pia ya wasichana wanaoolewa katika umri mdogo sana kabla ya kufikisha miaka 18. Na kuna matatizo mengine kama ambavyo pia Dr. Kafanabo alikuwa anazungumza hapa. Menstrual hygiene, facilities za kuwafanya wasichana waweze kuwa shuleni, wakabaki shule na kusoma. These are the challenges that exclude young girls from getting education. So as much as we talk about education and how education is important to ensure that young girls are able to compete in the job market, in our community, unfortunately, we still have a lot of challenges which limits girls' access to education. Na ni muhimu sana sisi kama wasichana tuweze siku zote kuona tuna bridge vipi hiyo gap ya kuhakikisha wasichana wengi wanabaki shule na kusoma. Uzuri kuhusu uchumi wa sasa hivi, naweza nikasema unatufanya wasichana tuwe huru. We are independent. We are more independent. We are more able to make our own decision. Lakini vile vile tunakuwa na fursa nyingi sasa za kuweza kutimiza uwezo wetu. To unleash our potential. Hiyo ni habari nzuri. Lakini kwa bahati mbaya sana, si mara zote kama wasichana tumekuwa tunajengewa uwezo kuelewa kwamba ukweli kuwa tunaweza kuwa na uhuru wa kufanya maamuzi na uhuru kiuchumi hautakiwi kutufanya tujionee huruma. Kuna speaker mmoja ameongea vizuri sana hapa. Most of the times anaongea kupitia poem, dada Bella. Mara nyingi sana tunapojiona kwamba tuna uwezo au tumeanza kugundua nguvu iliyopo ndani yetu, tunaanza kuangalia na mazingira yetu na sauti za watu waliotuzunguka na jamii inayokuambia don't be too powerful, you will scare away men. Hamjai kusikia vitu kama hivyo? Usiwe na nguvu sana. Tumesikia neno. Unatakiwa usifanikiwe sana bwana. Wanaume wanaogopa. No. We should not be apologetic about standing for our rights. Yes. We should not be apologetic about realizing our potential. The fact that people cannot deal with how powerful we are is not our problem. Yeah. Yes. It's not our problem. Naomba harudi sasa hata kwenye ya mahusiano kidogo. Ingawa sio expert kumshinda dada Miriam. mwanaume ambaye ni wa kwako na anakupenda vizuri, atakupenda na nguvu yako. Sawa? Yule anaona wewe utafanikiwa sana, utanisikea, darling, labda hakuumbwa kwa ajili yako. Sawa jamani? Na sio kwamba msiseme Rebecca anatufundisha vibaya. I tell you the truth. But kitu kingine ambacho nafikiri inabidi tuangalie, we need to teach men or remind them jinsi ya deal na empowered women. Kwa naona kama inaanza kuwa shida. Wakina kaka Samuel na wenyewe either anze wenyewe initiatives au sisi we are ready. You know, we are caretakers kama wa mama na hiyo inborn nature ya ku take care. So hatuna shida, tunaweza tukaendelea kuwa sensitize. Jinsi gani mnaweza mkakop na nguvu yetu ambayo tumeanza kugundua kumbe tulikuwa somehow because of some reasons tulikuwa hatuisi kama tunayo, lakini tunaanza kuamka sasa kwamba tuna nguvu. So I think we need also to continue engage men and boys and tell them kwamba their strength as men is not defined by the weakness of others. Yeah? Yes. Your strength as a man is not defined by the weakness of any other person, be it a woman or a man. Sawa? Kwa hiyo siku zote we should try to be equal partners, kwa sababu when we all thrive, when we all grow, our community grows. Sawa? And there is ripple effect to our family, communities, and our nation. Something else that I wanted to talk a bit this morning is about standing up and speaking out. As young women, we need to stand up and speak out. We need to stand up for our rights and for those of others. We should not keep quiet when we see injustices happening to our fellow young women. When we speak out, we confirm with no doubt our power to watch out for each other. We show to the world that we are in disagreement to the business as usual and the usual normalization of girl disempowerment and abuse. And now more than ever, our community needs our common voice to speak out against injustices. It's true that many of our fellow girls are going through difficult times at home, on their way to school, and at school, colleges, or universities. We can't keep quiet, and we can't stand back and wait for other people to speak for us or come and change things for us. We need to engage, we need to organize, we need to mobilize resources and drive our movements with integrity and confidence. Let's stand up for each other, let's unite for common good, build strategic interventions which will ensure no one is left behind. It's my call this morning that we keep pressing on inclusion of girls who are left behind, those who are far to reach. And it's the duty of every one of us in here to always ask ourselves, what have we done to others? So even when we talk about the economic development and economic power, I'm sure our question should not just be, how am I going to be successful? But how is your success in the business going to help others or going to solve the persistent social issues that we have in our communities? So kama ni technological innovation that you want to innovate, au kama ni biashara unataka kufanya, unawezaje kuleta suluhu kwenye matatizo mengi ambayo jamii yetu inayapitia sasa hivi? I will be very impressed to see young women driving change, driving meaningful businesses, ambazo mwisho wa siku zinaboresha jamii yetu ya Tanzania kutoka hapa ilipo kwenda hatua nyingine. Because I believe that will be very meaningful contribution. And that will be very meaningful way to show kama wasichana tunawezaje kujibu matatizo ya jamii yetu. Also, in the context of what have we done to others, we also need to ask ourselves, who have we pulled along? or encouraged through our conduct on a daily basis. And it's not just enough to want to achieve our dreams and visions.
So prior to that, I understand that you are the World Bank country director in Sudan, South Sudan, and Somalia. I'm so inspired, and meaning that you understand the East African context. So we have a really conversation today. But also you've served in different positions in World Bank DFID, both in UK, Nepal, Vietnam, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania. You have advised on poverty issue. You are the right woman for this stage and for this talk today. And so welcome to the stage, and you will invite Sandy after that.
Well, thank you, Isabella. You know, it's a daunting task standing up here because there have been just so many beautiful and inspiring women on this stage already this morning. Isn't that right? Every one of them a hard act to follow. But, wow. Habari za asubuhi. Is it still the morning? Just. Yes. It's wonderful to be here. I'm very excited to be here among such a dynamic and powerful audience. Every one of you today brings power to this room. I want to first start by recognizing some of the dignitaries we have with us. Thanks to Rebecca for your beautiful speech, and what an achievement on child marriage. I think let's give Rebecca another round of applause. I was talking to my daughter this morning about what lawyers can achieve, and there you are. That's a big one. And also to Dr. Eugenia, who's been a partner with us at Dar es Salaam. It's wonderful to see you. Thank you, and Isabella, and to Irene for getting up from her bed to be with us. Thank you for all you do, and thank you for being here today. So, on behalf of the World Bank, we're very pleased to be here today. I really want to extend my thanks to Miriam for inviting us and to all the organisers for being partners in arranging this important event. Today's event is one of a series of events that we've been undertaking in the World Bank over the last couple of years here in Tanzania, reaching out to young people. And we see, as we look at the data, the hard data, a big issue that emerges for us is the youth, the future of this country. And investing in the youth is key, and that's young women as well as young men. So we've been gradually pushing outwards, reaching out. We had a debate competition with the University of Dar es Salaam last year, which was a fantastic success. The only problem was that there were more men than women who applied. So next year, we're really targeting the women, and I'm going to ask Loy Nabeta to put her hand up, and I want to see many of you girls part of that debate, but also part of the blog competition that we had. Where again, I think we didn't pay enough attention to the young girls, but we had a blog competition. We had the winners came to the spring meetings. They participated. They met with in Washington D.C. They met with our president. They really had a wonderful time. And if any of you are interested, please contact Loy, because we have more of the young women involved in those events. So before I talk about women in the economy, I want to tell you just a little bit about the World Bank. And I do this wherever I go because it's important, I think, to demystify a bit our institution. Many people are familiar with our name, but they don't know that much about who we are and what we do. Now, the World Bank is a global financial institution. You might know that. But it's actually a collective of countries. Tanzania is a member of the World Bank. There are 189 countries that are members of the World Bank, and you're a member owner of the World Bank, and that includes Tanzania. Now, what we do is we finance projects. We're entrusted by our shareholders with vast amounts of finance, which we're able to pass on to lower and middle income countries to help with them to spur economic growth and poverty reduction. Now, we have two goals: the reduction of poverty, or the elimination of extreme poverty by 2030, and also boosting prosperity. And that shared prosperity, focusing on the poor 40% in any country, but it also means the shared prosperity is also women and men. And so we're not an ordinary bank. We're actually a unique partnership. And Tanzania is part of us. And for example, your Minister of Finance, Dr. Mpango, your Governor of the Bank of Tanzania, they are members of our board and they have a say in what we do. So, currently finances 29 projects. We have the value of our portfolio is around $4.5 billion. Tanzania borrows about $1 billion a year from the World Bank, and we're very active in a number of areas. Education is a big and growing focus for us because how critical it is for both male and female Tanzanians to get the education skills they need. We are also active in a number of areas: health, promoting the quality of primary health care, social protection through TASAF, which you will know, transport, ICT, digital development, urban development, energy, environment, agriculture, statistics, public sector strengthening, private sector strengthening, as well as the financial sector. You see the World Bank in many areas, present in many areas of the development of Tanzania in close partnership with the government. But we don't only provide financial assistance. The World Bank is also a knowledge bank, and we're fortunate enough to have some of the cleverest people in the world, myself not included, of course, but we really have some of the biggest brains working in the World Bank, and working in the World Bank requires a level of expertise and knowledge, which ensures that as we prepare projects, as we prepare our analytical products, our research, that we're really using knowledge, we're using evidence, we're using data, we're using lessons of what happened in different parts of the world, what's worked, what's not worked. We really apply that knowledge to what we do, right? Sometimes things can go awry, but we're always there, obliged to fix it when it does, and also learn the lessons for what we do in the future. But as a knowledge bank, one of the issues that has emerged with increasing strength over the last 5 to 10 years, as the evidence base is built up, is that how important the empowerment of women is to successful development outcomes. And it's now unequivocal in the evidence. It's undeniable. And it's not a charity thing. The inclusion of women isn't something just women, just because that we shouldn't leave people behind. It's not an option. It's actually something that we have to do if societies want to grow and develop and ensure the wide dissemination of those benefits to the population and invest, importantly, in future generations. The empowerment of women is central for that. It's there in the data. No one can say it doesn't matter. And that's a really great thing that the bank has done, the World Bank has done, is help to establish that basis. And we not only do research, but we share it. So through events, through convening, we share the knowledge we have, like, for example, in the event today, like the partnership with the University of Dar es Salaam, and we're going to be extending that to other universities in Tanzania in the future. So let me turn now to the challenge of helping young women find their place in the modern economy. And I just want to touch on 4 areas. I think all of which actually have been touched on already by other speakers this morning. But let me just add a perspective from us in the World Bank. Now, firstly, economic opportunities for young women. We know from the studies, from the data, that economically empowering young women improves economic growth and it improves productivity in the economy. We also know that increasing women's voice and agency, their power to speak up, is just something that is fantastic in its own right, but it has positive economic and social spillover effects into the individual's, the growth of the individual, the well-being of the family, and the well-being of society. And this is all very much grounded in the evidence. Young women, the decisions that young women make influence their marriages, it influences their childbearing, it influences the investment in education for future generation, it influences participation in the workforce. And that all has a long-term impact on themselves, on their families, and on their societies, and their economies. Across Africa, we see that there are around 11 million young men and women entering the labour force every year. Now, that's a lot of young people. And we heard earlier from Rebecca, that we have in Africa are not necessarily creating those opportunities. Here in Tanzania, it's around 1 million young women and men entering the workforce every year. And obviously, at least half of them are women. And that's a lot of people to absorb in an economy which is growing still relatively fast, still the fastest growing economy in East Africa. But is it creating the kinds of opportunities that women and men require? Or is it providing an enabling environment for men and women to generate the economic opportunities that they want to seek? And there are still a number of challenges, and there are still many gender disparities. Let me touch on a couple of them. In agriculture, for example, agriculture is the main source of over 70% of households in Tanzania, and there are some serious gender gaps there. For example, of a recent study that we did on maize markets in Tanzania, female farmers tended to have less education, they tended to own smaller plots, and they tended to have lower yields. And this is primarily because of the lack of access that they had relative to their male counterparts to technologies. And technologies comes through having knowledge and skills. We see also that at household enterprise level, we still see a disparity where male enterprises are still reporting much higher profits than female-owned. When female-owned enterprises, we saw in a recent panel survey by the Bureau of Statistics that female-owned enterprises were earning only 43% of the average profit as compared to their male counterparts. So we can see the level of education is key. But another feature is the ability to access credit. And that is also fundamental to the profitability of female-owned household enterprises. And we can see in the data, again, we're still playing catch-up on that front. So twice as many men as women involved in small and medium enterprises. Only half as many women have access to credit. Now, we know that access to financial services has expanded pretty dramatically in Tanzania over the past few years. In fact, Tanzania is a standout country when it comes to financial inclusion, and this has been hugely empowering for women. It's mostly through the mobile money transfer system, but it's been a critical lifesaver of financial inclusion for many women. Where the problem tends to creep in is at the next level up, the small and medium scale enterprises, their access to credit. And the World Bank is working hard with the Bank of Tanzania and the Ministry of Finance to look at ways in which we can bring in ideas, technologies which are being used very successfully in countries like Ethiopia, for example, to enable and extend that access to finance. Let me make a comment on labour force participation and the quality of that participation also here in Tanzania. You see that both men and women have a high level of labour force participation. So it's around 89% for men are active in the labour force, 84% of women. But when you dig down and you see the quality of that participation, you still see that wage and salary workers, only a third are women. So there's real room for growth there. But you see that women are representing around 70% of the unpaid labour on family farms, for example. So again, a sign of the challenge ahead. But looking forward, Tanzania has very strong ambitions to industrialise. And you can see that there is a push towards labour-intensive industries. The government recently took an excellent step approving this blueprint for streamlining regulations. They're discussing with us and other partners on investments to speed up industrialization, which will create jobs and opportunities. And they're ensuring that women have equal participation in those opportunities that lie ahead. We see, for example, that there are likely to be increases in light manufacturing, for example, agro-processing being a big one. I have my senior agricultural advisor here who can advise anything to do with that. We know that increasing digital skills are going to become very important in almost every sector in the future. We see that industries like textiles and garments are likely to grow. These all present many new opportunities for men and women, but particularly women in the workforce, and preparing the women of Tanzania to participate will be key. Which brings me on to my next point, which is education. We heard from Rebecca already about the critical importance of education, and it's unequivocal. It's the more you read, the more you see that, come on, let's just educate girls. Let's just do everything we can and put all our resources into educating girls because of the impact that it has on individuals, on families, and on society. And it's something that we believe in absolutely fully in the World Bank. We see that well-educated girls and their children have better health outcomes. They have substantially higher earnings in adulthood. We see we see very directly the link between a mother's education and the impact on their child's health and education. That link is made directly again and again in studies. We see, for example, really just small things changing. The higher the level of education of a woman, the more likely she is to seek prenatal care during pregnancy, the more likely she is to use a bed net for her child, the more likely she is to have her child immunized. And these are all investments in the next generation. What we see also is that better educated women also start to have children later in life. So you see the average age, if you have a woman in Tanzania who's completed lower secondary education, she'll generally start childbearing on average at 24 years of age. For a girl who's completed, it's likely to be around 19. And the women who complete secondary have fewer children, and they invest more in each child. And again, that has the spin-off into the next generation. So looking at the education system, we actually see that there are more girls, slightly more girls, in primary schools in Tanzania than boys. And we're also seeing more girls completing the primary cycle. Interesting. But when it comes to secondary, things start to change. And this is where, I know your minister is absolutely committed to work, your wonderful Minister of Education. And you see here that very quickly the numbers shift, and it's more boys and fewer girls in secondary. That completion rates also shift, so fewer girls completing as opposed to boys. And you see that girls are in the way that plan. Now, we also don't look at just the schools. We look also at other issues. We look at social protection through TASAF. Girls in poor families are supported to go to school. We see that in water programs, putting sanitation in schools matters for girls. So there's we try as much as possible to ensure that we get that angle through the work that we do. And if you ever have any suggestions for what we could be doing or we should be doing or could be doing differently, please contact us. Lawyer's your lady. And we're always interested to hear ways in which we can improve our work. Now, moving to my third point is on adolescent pregnancy, and that's also been noted this morning. You know, we've also seen this data that Rebecca mentioned about the high rates of adolescent pregnancy in Tanzania. And, you know, we broke it down, and what it shows very clearly is that among this 20 population, we see a very high and increasing level of adolescent pregnancy. It's very striking how closely linked it is to poverty. Whereas when you look at the wealthiest 20%, you see that actually adolescent pregnancy is declining. So it's what this is clearly showing in the data is that some of the poorest girls, for whatever reason, are becoming much more vulnerable to pregnancy in adolescence. Then having the way in which the pregnancy will affect their schooling will also affect the chances of their children, the life chances of their children. And there's a piece of evidence that is really taken hold in the World Bank, and it's a big passion of our president, Jim Yong Kim, who you saw here last year. We have our vice president here today. We had our president here last week. But when you said the president, I whispered to Sandy, "You've been promoted." Maybe there's a vision out there. But what we've seen from investing in young women and men to become productive in the modern economy starts at conception. And what you see is this theory, which is proven again and again, of the first 1,000 days of life, from the time a child is conceived to its second birthday. And this is now permeating so much of what we do in the World Bank, because investing there, getting the nutrition of the mother right, getting the nutrition of the baby right, ensuring that breastfeeding can continue for as long as possible, ensuring early stimulation, talking baby language all the time to your baby, this can have a huge effect in terms of the life chances of your child and the contribution that individual can make to the society, to their family, and their own personal growth and satisfaction in life. And it's very interesting when you look at the data. You can see, you can get photographs of a child's brain, a baby's brain, one that has had the proper stimulation and nutrition, and one that has not. And you see the way that the neurological pathways have developed by age 2, or have not developed. And once they reach age 2, that's when the door begins to close. Obviously, the child needs to go on to have quality education and good parenting, etc., throughout life. But if you don't get it right before age 2, the child will never be able to recover. And it's such an important part of the research that the World Bank has been involved in, together with other academic partners. And when you look at the growth of the modern economy, You look at how we are digitalizing. You look at the way that technologies are permeating our world, industry, business, society, what we do in our personal lives. Technology is everywhere. You look at the growth of artificial intelligence and how that's going to really sweep into industry over the coming years. Our children and our young people are going to need top-class cognitive skills to engage in that economy. It's about the it's not about just about individual success. It's about the competitiveness of your economy overall. And this is the case that we're making to countries across the world. If you want to compete in the future, you have to invest in your babies today and your women who are caring for your babies and your societies who have responsibility for enabling the growth of those very young people to play the role that they can play and realize their full potential. Now, just an observation before I come to close and introduce and open the floor for Sandy, is that there's no doubt, as we know, that the challenges for women, for young women, girls, they're bigger than for men. And we love you, men. Really, we do. And we especially love you when you work for us. But it's true that the challenges are great. And just in preparing for this session today and sitting here listening to the speakers, I was reflecting on a number of the conversations I've had with secondary school girls in Tanzania. Just yesterday, we met a group of orphaned girls that came to the World Bank to talk to myself and Sandy, and I tell you, that was a moving session. And what I'm so impressed by is the intelligence, the spirit, and the ambition. And we always talk to them about what they want to be. They want to be doctors, they want to be lawyers, they want to be leaders in their society, they want to be pilots, they didn't much want to be teachers. We tried to talk them out of that. But some of them even wanted to work at the World Bank. So we were happy to hear that. But also, one of the things that struck me over and over again is how much these young girls weren't just thinking about themselves, they were thinking about their society, the contribution that they wanted to make, how they wanted to reach out and ensure that their peers who maybe didn't have the same opportunities as they did had those opportunities in the future. And it was so inspiring. But I was also overwhelmed by the challenges that they faced with us. They shared with us, that they were facing or that their peers were facing, whether it was facing early marriage, whether it was finding themselves pregnant at an early age, whether it was being denied the opportunity to pursue education for whatever reason. And the conversation in every situation moves to this issue of determination, and a number of you wonderful ladies have mentioned it this morning, determination and drive to succeed. Challenges come to all of us. They come to me, they come to Sandy, they come to all of us. And it's our ability to pick ourselves up, shake it off, focus on the goal, that actually is the key determinant between success or failure. And if you even look at the literature of what makes people successful, right? It's not necessarily that they went to the best university or they were born into a wealthy family. That can help, but also it can hinder. But it's actually whether or not they had the determination and drive to succeed. And when challenges came their way, they found a way through it and they focused on their goal. And they had wonderful people around them to mentor and support them. And we've already seen some lovely examples this morning, including in Sandy's video, of the role that we can play in mentoring all of us in helping our sisters to get through challenges and to move on. And determination, women and girls here, is the key. That's what will really help you to find your place and contribute to the modern economy and use the opportunities you have to achieve the goals that you set yourselves. So, with those few words, I hope I haven't extended over my time, but I I'd like to introduce a wonderful colleague, a champion of gender equality, and also our Senior Vice President and General Counsel for the World Bank. She's like our Chief Justice. She she works directly for our President. She advises him on all legal issues. And she's someone who actually, she both protects us and scares us at the same time. No? She's the one who says, is that within your mandate? But she also protects us when people try and come and get us on legal matters at the World Bank. So she's a great lady to have with us. Now, you've heard about Sandy. One thing that wasn't there, which was on my list.
Jambo. Good morning, everybody. Girls in action. Girls in action. Girls in action. And I'm not hearing from the gallery. You're very quiet. Girls in action. Wonderful. It is a true honour and pleasure to be here. I've been looking forward to this part of my visit very much. I'm passionate about gender issues, gender equality, combating gender-based violence and combating FGM. And any opportunity I get to have a microphone in my hand and to talk about these issues and to encourage young women, young girls, older women, whoever it is, to be the best that they can be because they are women and they have so much to contribute, I will take that opportunity. So I want to say a few things to you today about my story as well, what I do, how I do it, what I think, and what I think is important for us all to do as women. But before I even start that, I just want to say a little bit about the importance of finding your voice and speaking up. So I've got a really big title, I've got a really big job, and I'm fortunate enough that I can do important things. But Kristalina Georgieva, who's our CEO at the bank, once said, what's the point of having an important title if you don't do important things? Isn't that true? And although I am not the first woman to be Senior Vice President and General Counsel of the World Bank, I am the first woman of African origin to do that. And as the first woman of African origin, I need to use my voice. I've been given something very special. And I'm going to use that as a force for good and a force for change. I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. And when I stand here and I look at all these amazing women and the amazing men, my heart is filled with joy and pride because I see a great future in front of Tanzania. Yeah? You are the future. Let me hear you. Girls in action. Yeah. We're here and we're not going anywhere. Yes. Because women are 50% of the population anywhere in the world. Therefore, we are 50% of every solution. We are 50% of every action. We are 50% of everything. And we should not have to ask permission to be there. We should demand that. Not because someone is giving us something, but because we have something to contribute. We have a lot to contribute. Just hearing the wonderful speakers today, Dr. Eugenie, who promoted me, thank you. I'll take that. I'm not sure Jim will be that pleased when I get back and say, off you go, I'm president now. Rebecca, all the wonderful things that you have done on child marriage, that is what lawyers can do, right? That's what education can do. It's about justice, and you have done that. And I want to say a little thing about female solidarity as well, because I'm feeling it in this room. And this is a really important thing. And I didn't get to be where I am today, standing here in front of you, without lots of other women supporting me. Okay? Lots of men too, I don't disagree with that. But what is important? Other women supporting me. From my mother, who you saw in some of those pictures there, and my dad was a great supporter too, but saying, you know, you do that. One of my great mother's phrases was, never rely on a man for money. And I took that with me everywhere, which meant that I had to support myself. I have to support my family. I have to do it. I don't have to rely on anyone else. And when you have that attitude, it gives you a different attitude towards life. And it gives you a different frame of mind. So from women like my mother, who've always been there to support me, to the fabulous women at the World Bank, and Bella, who I want to say a big thank you to. Because the reason we are doing this conference in Arusha on Monday is because of a conversation I had at one of our law conferences in Washington, D.C. with your Chief Justice. And that conference was on gender. We had a whole week talking about different gender issues. And he was a speaker, but he was also attending the conference. And he was very, very moved and taken by some of the challenges that women have in life in general. And he came to see me and we had a discussion. And we said, well, why don't we put on the first ever Gender and the Judiciary Conference in Africa and start with justice and access to justice, which is what we're doing next week. But that was very easy for me to say. The hard work came and the support came from my other colleagues within the bank who also said, yes, let's go ahead and do that. Because they're the ones that actually put the money on the table and the hard work to make that happen. And one of those is my new friend and force for nature, Mama Bella, who is country director. So women need to support other women. And Madeleine Albright, who was Secretary of State in the US many years ago, once said, there's a special place in hell for women who don't help other women. And I truly believe that. And we have to help each other. And we have to help each other when things are going well and when things are not going very well. And to make sure that other women who are struggling or maybe being put upon a bit are supported. And I felt so supported by Bella in putting on this conference because it's really the Tanzania office that had to do a lot of hard work. My other colleagues in the bank, my legal team, so many people supported this idea. It's going to be historic. It's going to be changing. I just feel it in my waters. And we're doing it here in Tanzania and we're doing it here in Africa. So when you look at life and your life, you have to say to yourself, what are you going to contribute to make your life, your communities, your societies a better place? Because you have so much to contribute. Everybody has. Every single one of you. You're just like me. The only difference between you and me right now is I'm standing up here and you're sitting down there. In terms of the contribution we can make. Because we all have a voice. Every single one of us has a voice. And we need to use that to change our societies for the better. Silence won't do it. Silence will not do it. So when I got this job at the bank, so I am the most senior legal advisor in the bank. I have about 160 people reporting to me. I get to boss a lot of people around. I rather love it. It's quite nice. But that's my day job. That's what I am paid to do. That's what Jim hired me to do. But with the bank's convening power, with the bank's, with the bank's name, with the bank's reputation, I can get into rooms. I can talk to people about gender. I can talk to your Chief Justice and say, let's do a conference. I have to use that voice. What would be the point of me if I did not use that voice? To push forward gender issues, to push forward, to say, we've got to stop this gender-based violence. It stops women achieving what they really can achieve. We have to stop this gender inequality. What would be the point if I did not use my voice? And I put that out to all of you here. You have to use your voice. Do not think it's not worth something. Do not think that what you have to say is not worth listening to. If I am worth listening to, and you've all come here this morning to do that, you are worth listening to. Okay? There's nothing about me that makes me particularly special. And let me tell you a funny story. Many of you will have seen maybe this picture, Pressing for Progress. Lovely picture of me there. Yeah, it is. But the reality is, that was taken by a professional photographer. This photographer took about 1,000 photographs of me to get one decent one to put there. That is the reality of life. Don't be fooled that, as Bella said, that everybody's life is really glossy and is really easy and is really nice, okay? Most of it is photoshopped. We all struggle. We all have similar issues. We all have challenges. Nothing is ever straightforward. But that is not a reason not to do things, okay? If it was all a clear path, everybody would be doing it. If it's difficult, it's worth doing. And the key thing between me and maybe some other women who have not yet been as successful is resilience, keeping going. It's not really, at the end of the day, education, luck, whatever you want to say. It's that when you get knocked down, because you will get knocked down, it happens. Getting knocked down is not the problem. It's how you get up that matters. And as women, and as girls, and as 50% of our societies, we're getting up now. And I want you to all get up on your feet and get up and say, we're staying up, and we're here, and we're not going anywhere. So let's all get up. And you see how forceful it is when you get up. And I want you to say, girls in action. You see how much louder you are when you stand up. Girls in action. Girls in action. You can sit down now. But ladies, you are going to have to stand up for those rights. Do not ask for them. Demand them and take them. They were yours to start with. You have 50% of the contribution to make to your families, to your communities, to your societies, your countries, to the world. And sitting down and waiting for it to happen won't make it happen. Staying silent and keeping your fingers crossed and hoping it will happen will not make it happen. You can make it happen. Every single one of you has it within you to make the change that you want to see. You can be the change that you want to see because of your voices. And the collective voice, as you heard when you all stood up, is very strong. And the bonds between women are very strong. When women support other women, it's a force of nature, literally. Literally a force of nature that cannot be stopped. But I do appreciate that we do walk around with a certain amount of fear. And we're taught that from very young girls, to fear the world. But I think we need to change that narrative. And I think the world needs to fear us as a force. Because when you get, maybe more than two women together, yeah, that's a force. And I particularly believe that women in Africa are really good at finding their voices. And I particularly believe that women in Africa, when they get together, can really, really change things. And I know you believe in it. And I know you can see it. So I urge all of you to speak up, to create, and to innovate. Because those are the things you need to do to move the dial in this century. By the time we get to the end of this century, the world will not be the same place. It just won't. Look how different it was 100 years ago. That's just the way the world works. But the question is, where will Tanzania be at the end of that century? Where will your future children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren be? What kind of society are you creating for them now? Because that's up to you. And each one of you has an ability to be forceful in that. And this idea that it's going to take a long time is not something I subscribe to. I'm very impatient. It can happen very quickly if we act very quickly. We don't have to wait. There's no time clock. We're not boiling an egg. We have to really say to ourselves, we want to take part. We have to take part. We are going to take part. So, when you see the real world, and I'm talking about the real world, we see lots of images on social media, as I said to you about this photograph, that are not really the real world. I don't wake up looking like that every morning, unfortunately. But I wish I could, but I don't. It took a makeup artist to do that. But the real world is our real world. Those challenges that we have as women. I recently did something for the World Bank on Menstrual Hygiene Day. Because I think we as women have to raise these issues and not hide them. And we have to raise the challenges that we have. And violence against women is one of the big issues out there. We will never reach our development goals. We'll never end poverty or have shared prosperity if we don't deal with some of these issues that particularly affect women. And gender-based violence is one, and FGM is another. These are ways of planned poverty for women. You know, women are not going to reach their economic empowerment if we don't make the world a safer place for women. And this is where I need the men and the men who know other men to talk to other men and say, stop this. Okay? Because we can talk amongst ourselves as women until we're literally blue in the face. But if the men don't stop doing that, that talking isn't going to really change very much. So we need men very much in this conversation to change some of those cultural aspects that say you don't hit a woman, you don't rape a woman, you don't defile a young girl. We need men in this conversation so that they can change their behaviour too, so we can have the better lives we deserve. And I'm just going to wrap up here because I know that you've been listening a lot, and I thank you very much for that. But I urge all of you, when you've finished here today and you go home, think about what you're going to say. Think about what you're going to do next. Think about how you're going to bring on this spirit. Do not go home and say, I don't have to do anything. I don't matter. You matter, and you can change things. And this voice is very important. And in the world of social media, it's very easy to access that voice and other people's voices as well. But every single one of you, from the ladies right at the back there to the ladies right at the front here, are playing an important part right now by being in this room. And you will play an important part the moment you walk out as well, and you will do it every second of every day. Until we reach that gender equality, that gender parity, and we really can contribute to not just our lives and those of our families, but also those of our communities and our countries. There are future Chief Justices here. There are future heads of the police. There are future presidents. Who knows what any one of you can do if you're unleashed to do it. So, go and unleash your inner power. Speak up, talk up, and stand up. Thank you.
How you guys feeling? I'm feeling confused. I'm feeling like I just want to go now and go do something. I'm like, what's the issue? Who needs a problem? How do we cooperate? Are you guys feeling the same? I need to just come to understand the action should start now. Thank you so much, Bella. Thank you so much, Sandy. So inspired. Bella, you've inspired me so much. Mayu, are you somewhere around? Mayu? Come. I'm going to put something on the spot. Because I took your message, Bella, and I took your message, Sandy, and you say, let's go. Do what you can do. So I want to show you what we can do, because it might look very hard. I always put Mayu in sport anytime. So yesterday night, we had a Kanga fashion show. in my organization. I'm a youth mentor. So how does Girl in Action look like? So we engage young designer, and then we ask them to look at gender-based violence. And we say, if we were to put the gender-based violence in the normal day-to-day wearable kanga that Tanzanians wear, that we pass from one generation to another, how would it look like? So the first time, we made a kanga that has a message. You understand? So this right here is a girl with a flower that is diminishing because of all that she's going through. Relax. It's going to take a while. And the message says, ukinyamaza watakuumiza. If you keep quiet, watakuliza. They're going to make you cry. So you need to start speaking and speaking now. Now. My mother is not helping me turn. So this was done with data that came from Tanzania Health Demographic Survey that shows that in Tanzania, when it comes to gender-based violence, out of every 3 women, 1 is affected. So these hearts actually are showing that the problem is bigger than we know. Either they're physically abused, emotionally abused, or financially abused. So this is the platform that I use, fashion young people and data, to make a difference. This is me being in action. Thank you so much. What are you? I'm not saying this so that you guys can, thank you for the clap, but I'm wondering, because how do we put your idea in action? That it becomes a tool, that we can start a conversation, that we can carry it forward, that we can engage men. I've never seen Mayu wearing a kanga before, but this is how you engage men in a conversation. How creative are you? You talk of the digital space, an innovative space. So I'm very inspired, as you can see. You guys have just done something in me, but I hope you guys are as inspired. So to continue the inspiration, as we come and talk here, please start thinking, what is your space? What is your platform? And how can you put it? I will be so happy if we come out of here, we have initiative, ideas, collaboration. I like what you say, Rebecca. Let's collaborate. Let's coordinate resources and let's influence. So how do we do that? That is something. But also, how do we use data? Bella, you shared so many data. I was like, whoa. In every issue, if we are to be heard and to be understood, how do we use data to influence correct decision making? So to start the conversation, I will really ask Bella Bird, Rebecca Gyumi, Sandy. Okay, so Bella Bird and Rebecca. 1 minute. Okay, so we're going to because Sandy has to go, I understand that. So we're going to have a very quick 30 minutes panel and then 10 minutes for discussion, and then we'll let you go. Thank you so much, Sandy. So if I can have Rebecca Gyumi, Vera Bad, Sandy, and Samuel. Men in action too. Can I have this podium removed, please? Thank you. If you can join me, I'll be happy. So I think we have heard from everyone, but apart from Samuel. So I'll introduce Samuel a bit so people can understand why you're sitting there. You're outnumbered, obviously, for obvious reasons. So Samuel is an expert in international taxation, transfer pricing, but also value chain. He's also a speaker and a trainer in personal finance, and also a consultant. He works in both Tanzania and Swaziland, and right now he works with PwC, isn't it? And then one thing why Sam is sitting here is because he took part in mentoring all the girls that they're working with Miriam in the financial capacity and how to own the business. So he's a big part of this program and one of the mentors of the girls. So that's why we are sitting here with him today, but also because of your financial background. So the conversation starts. I have the question to all of you. What is the cost of such not empowering women? Just in 2 minutes. If we choose not to empower women today, what is the cost?
We know that if women get, as many as women as possible get through at least a secondary school, you will have a much more educated workforce. You will be able, your economy will be more competitive, and your next generation is likely to have a higher level of achievement and also contribute to themselves, to their families, their society in a better way. So take away that secondary education. Just strip it out of the picture. What do you have? You've taken out half of the secondary education opportunities for girls. What do you have? You have fewer women coming into the workforce to contribute to a productive society. So you have less economic growth. You have fewer women, fewer educated women having children. So you're diminishing the quality of investment in the future generation. So I think that whichever way you look at it, investment in girls will contribute positively to this generation and the next, and taking away that investment will actually diminish what you can do.
Sandys, I'm coming to you with the same question. What is the cost of not investing in women? But can you give it a cultural lens? You say something that was very important, and so you're the first black vice president. What does that really mean? Because cultural-wise, color, race, age, gender has played a role in participation of either women or certain group of people. So what is the cost of even looking at people with different lenses that is not necessarily...
So I just want to correct that, because not only have I been promoted to president, but I've been also bigging myself up a little bit if I think I was the first black vice president at the bank. I was the first ever black general counsel of the bank. But it's important for the reason being that goes to show how things are moving on. Because we have pictures at the bank of all the previous general counsels, and up to the last two before me, they were all white and male. So that is just a picture in itself of progress, of inclusion, of diversity, and the way the world is going. And that's why I say it, because I want people to know that things are changing. And these things are achievable, because when I first started out, as you heard in the video, people were telling me they were not achievable. But to your first question, what's the cost? Now, I'm a lawyer. I don't like numbers. You know, I left maths behind a long time ago. I like words and things like that. So I wouldn't necessarily talk about the data, but what I would say is, going back to the point I made, if you do not give women economic empowerment, you are not giving economic empowerment to 50% of the population. It's that simple. Therefore, you're going to be 50% less successful, because you are not choosing from the whole pool available. Why would you limit the available resources you have to 50%? And the thing is that you find as talented men as you find as talented women. It's just as easy, you get as many female scientists as you get male scientists if you open it all out. And I think the key thing here is that if societies want to be successful, if they want to be, want to improve their development outcomes, they're going to have to bring women into this picture. There's no doubt about it. The other thing I just want to say is, as the world moves on and we hear a lot about artificial intelligence and things like that, it does worry me if women are not in that picture, because we're going to get a male-type artificial intelligence, and if that's going to kind of rule the world, then that will really set us back a long way. So I think women really need to be there to make sure that we have this balanced world. And I don't see how you can possibly, even though I'm not a numbers person, be successful just based on 50% of the population.
Samuel, I'm coming to you still on the same question, the cost of not empowering women. But I want to hear from you, in your own individual responsibility, how have you made sure so far up to now that we are pressing for progress and you're involving women, you're working with women? How do you do that?
Thank you, Bella. I'm almost tempted to say that on behalf of all the men. Not many of us are in this room. We are on board. Unlike Sandy, I like numbers. I'm a numbers person. I love numbers. And part of what I do is give training on personal finance. And, you have these women, we have village community banks around Tanzania. And you have very determined women who are able to put their energies, put together capital and start their small businesses. And what you realize is, I would go further and say, it's not just 50% of the population, it's probably 50% of the most creative part of the population. Because actually, statistically, with these village community banks, if you have one group of men and you have one group of women, the women are likely to repay the debt, the women are likely to actually do business, and they're actually likely to take the money and use it productively. So we're not just wasting 50% of the economic potential. But you have to realize, in the case of Tanzania, for example, globally, women largely got into the labor force, workforce in the 20th century, particularly the 60s, 70s onwards. And according to the data, that boosted the global GDP by 25%. Just the fact that you got women to start working and not just staying at home. So imagine what would have happened if that happened 100, 200 years ago. We would be talking about double the GDP of the world as we speak. But personally, there is a lot that people in this room can do. So at PwC, we have mentorship programs where, you can pick someone, a girl, a boy, they're in high school, secondary school, and something like that, and you start mentoring them and partnering them and trying to teach them what do you need to do at this step. And that's very, very powerful because it starts to awaken that ambition, that sense of possibility in those women at that young age, and it creates the next Sandys and Bellas. So I think it's a worthwhile goal.
Create the next Sundays and Bellas. I like that. Almost rhyme, like a song or something. As you are listening, guys, I want you to start thinking what question you might have. And when it's time to give you a chance to ask a question, be short, be direct, so that we can have as many questions before they leave. Dereka, as we are looking at the cost of not empowering women, can you also touch a little bit about the role of culture and its importance in gender parity?
Thank you very much, Bella. I think I sort of agree with the rest of the speakers in terms of the cost of not empowering women, and in particular, I'll also say girls and young women, because these are the future women and mothers. And I think there was one saying that I'm subscribing to that says, any country that is not investing in the largest of its population will not actually realize its full economic potential. And I think if we look at Tanzania, women comprise, I think, almost 51% of the whole population. So really we'll be gambling, in really achieving the full economic potential that Tanzania could actually achieve. And now that we've been talking about, industrialization and taking Tanzania to the middle income economy, those goals will not really be achieved if we'll not look at, the meaningful engagement in investment of women, girls, and young women in Tanzania. So when I talk about, coming to the issues of culture, customs, and traditions, and also what those issues also have to play when we talk about the issues of economic empowerment, I think I will say largely, especially in the areas that we are working in, we still have a lot of customs and traditions that not really believe that young women matter, or have an important part to play in, the economy. Yes, they support and agree that they are good mothers, they can be good in kitchen, but not really looking above that. And I see this as a limitation, especially when we want to touch and look at the largest of the population who are really not in urban areas, but in rural areas where you find a lot of these customs and traditions are really founded there. So I think generally what I would actually say is it's very important to ensure that as much as we look at the investment in young women, in education and everything, but also the culture mindset and also shaking the patriarchal system and male dominance is very important, because if we're not doing that, then we are not really changing the narrative and repositioning how important young women and women are, not just in our social activities, but even in our economic advantages. Yeah.
Now that you touch on the patriarchy system, Bella, how do we motivate the community to pledge and contribute to gender equality? But when we look at gender equality, can you look at it in these 4 lenses? How do we maintain a gender parity mindset? How do we challenge the stereotypes and biasness? How do we forge positive visibility of women? Because I know we are just part of like small community. There are many unsung heroes of women that are in rural areas, or their voices that are not heard. And then also, how do we celebrate women achievement?
Thanks very much, Bella. It's wonderful to be on the stage with another Bella. Okay, big questions, very big questions. Look, I think when you look at the gender parity mindset, it's, gender inequality is something that we are taught, right? I mean, growing up children in a playground when they're first in school, they're not thinking about gender inequality. It's something that they're taught. And I remember growing up in a large family with a lot of girls, and the idea, and going into my teens, the idea that I was unequal with my brothers was just like a ridiculous thought. And it's something, and in my family it didn't really play out, but as I moved into society, I began to see that actually people saw me differently to men, and I thought, that's just confusing and wrong. And like Sandy, I said, it's like, sorry, it's not the case. I am not a less of a person. So don't even think about treating me that way. And don't think about treating my sisters and my friends and my daughters, my 2 beautiful daughters, anything like that. And I think, and when you think about, I don't know if the word feminist is such used very much in Tanzania, but the whole idea, I think, of gender equality isn't somehow misinterpreted as women wanting to get on, to get on top and be in charge and squash the men. It's not that. It's just about being fair. It's just about being fair. If you imagine, one thing that used to really inspire me when I was coming to grips with the gender inequality in the world, I used to imagine just reversing the roles. Imagine if it was the man at home putting the children to bed, making the dinner, preparing for the next day, trying to keep everything organized, while the woman sat in the bar with her friends just laughing, and everyone thought it was okay. It's like, hang on, if it was that way around, it wouldn't be okay. How come it's okay when it's the other way around? And I think just remembering that this is about fairness, it's about basic sort of looking after each other in community and a society. And I would say one bit of advice to girls is that I'm really lucky, I've got a great husband. Like Rebecca, Maria, you were saying that, he's handsome and he supports me 100%. He's a great dad. He never ever questioned that he should be better or in any way. Girls, go find yourselves men like that. Yeah? And for the men, be like that, because you're so attractive when you treat the ladies fairly. You can't imagine how gorgeous you look to us. So remember that and tell your friends, huh? Because we all want men who are just going to treat us fair, share the burden, be a friend and a partner through life. And I think, if we could kind of start thinking about things like that, then we start thinking about gender inequalities in a different way. Maybe I'll stop there and I'll allow my colleagues to respond to other questions.
So Sandy, as I come to you, I'll tell you a little story. When I was growing up in Mbeya, some part of Tanzania. It wasn't a city back then. Seeing a woman driving was like, whoa, she's a woman and she's driving, you know? And right now we've gone past that. It's no longer news. We all, men and women, are driving. Right now, I'm like, whoa, you're a vice president of the World Bank, you know? And I want to also see 10, 20 years from now, it's no longer news. So let's talk about women in the workplace. How is the bank itself encouraging women leadership? But also, you see a lot of upcoming campaign, Me Too movement, Time's Up, and many global movement that is happening. How do we make sure that women, even when we are sitting on the leadership position, we get equal pay, equal earning, and equal opportunities?
In the top leadership positions in the bank, we have just reached, in the most senior parts, we've just reached 50-50 for men and women. We have just appointed a female chief economist, and that brought the 50-50 balance. So when you go to and see the senior executives, did you hear that we got 50-50? Good, that's all I wanted you to hear. But on the board, that's not looking so good, to be honest. But we do not control who sits on the board because each country sends their representative, and we're encouraging countries to send more women. So there is without doubt a lot more work to be done. And there are inequalities, and we're looking at it. But when it comes to, equal pay, what we've got to just remember, and let's not try and fool ourselves that it's anything other than this, is the reason for it has always been a reason of discrimination. That people just paid women less because they were women. And I often say that if that were not the case, you'd be finding differences between different types of women, which you do not. So whether or not you have children, I have 2 children, but if you have children or you don't have children, you're still discriminated against in relation to your pay. So it's not the case that having a family really slows you down. I don't think there is much data that shows that. What it does show is if you're a woman, it slows you down. And so we just really need to get to grips with these things. And it stems from the fact that, one, we underestimate ourselves as women, so we may be going for jobs at lower levels than we're really worth. And everyone is quite happy to accept that. And, lots of people will take someone who can do, more of a job for less pay. So we need to say, no, I'm worth more. Pay me more. Because we believe we're worth it. And I think sometimes we don't. So I think there are lots of historical indicators there that show where we are. I think we have Me Too. We've got a number of other sort of movements out there that are helping shine the spotlight on these issues. It is really quite astonishing that we're sitting here in 2018 and we're having this conversation. Because this was the same conversation I remember hearing when I was 8 years old. And I'm 38 now. No, I'm not, but, But it's the same conversation. So how far, you're saying about seeing women driving and seeing me do this. That's great. But it's still a little bit in the minority, someone like me doing this job. The fact that it's even newsworthy is something that should have been 20 years ago. Although I'm very grateful for it, don't get me wrong. But, so we need to move faster, is what I'm saying. And we need to really tackle these issues. One of the things that they have done in the UK, what you can tell from my funny accent, that's where I grew up, is that they made some of the top companies publish their gender gap data. And that naming and shaming has meant that organisations, one, have to look into it, have to work out why it's going on, and have to fix it. So transparency often is key to fixing this. But let's not fool ourselves that the reason why we're here in the first place is one of discrimination. It's one because people thought we can't do as good a job, women are not as clever, etc., etc., etc. That is clearly not true. And when we turn up wherever it is, from the boardroom all the way to our own businesses, we really perform. Women really perform. They're often the top performers, but we're not being paid for it. So we need to speak out. We need to support other women in that, and we need to say, you have to fix this. So it's that simple.
So in the concern of time, before we Sandy goes, I'll ask 2 questions to Rebecca and Sam, and then we'll ask like 2 before you go. All right. Sam, men engagement. Let's talk about it for a minute. So in mainstreaming gender across all fields, how do we make sure that gender equality or gender parity is a concern for all men too? Examples, you and he for she. What more do we do in Tanzania?
Yeah, first of all, before I answer that question, can I just say, thinking back now, I'm realizing how important families are to mainstreaming these issues. I would say fortunate to have, to grow up in a family of 3 boys. So we didn't have a, sister, girl in our family, and the only woman was my mother. So for me, I've always associated women with authority. If my mom says do this, you do it. And because it was just, all of us had to do everything in the house. They had to wash the dishes, we had to wash the clothes. There was no distinction between what you can do and what the other person can do. And the person who told you that there is no distinction is your mother. So you associate that with equality. So I think we need to start thinking about families and schools and education. I think we're doing well in Tanzania in terms of trying to get everyone to go into school. The question is, what are they learning in school? Is the education that they're getting, is it gender sensitive? Is it preparing men to accept? You don't even need to accept. Is it preparing men to deal with the fact that you have 50% of the population who are as capable, and if you're willing to partner with them, there will be much more progress. But in terms of men engagement, I think we ought to start articulating better this issue, because believe it or not, men have insecurities as well. And when they are framed as if authority or power is taken from them, then it becomes a bit resistant for them to let go. So I think there's a way we need to frame this issue with men. And actually, men have to be engaged in this conversation, which is why I'm so glad you let me be on this panel. And lastly, I think we need to start seeing the potential way early in the beginning, because at some point, I mean, if I look at the group 2 weeks ago, I was interviewing candidates who were interested in joining the firm, and you find fantastic female candidates. Who, 4.7 GPA and something like that. And you'd find a male candidate who was a 4.2. And academically, this lady is perhaps better. But the way she delivers it is almost seeking to say that, please do me a favor, I need this job. While the guy, who isn't really as qualified, will just say, I'm the guy for you. I can do this, I can do it better than anyone else. So I think in some ways, as much as we need to tell men that this is a new order, we also need to tell women to press for progress, in the sense that if there are 10 criteria for you to get a job, and you think you can fit in 6, why don't you try? Because there's a man who will think they fit in 4 and say they can do it. It's just that confidence to go forth.
Okay. For quite a period of time, we've been singing 50-50. World Bank is achieving it. Do you think we are achieving it? Leadership in Tanzania. Are we seeing more women in leadership? Not only because it's special seats, they've been pulled, but actually they've earned it?
I'm very happy actually you've asked me that question, because I also wanted to talk a bit about gender equality and gender equity. Because most of times I think we tend to confuse or tend to think that when we have attained gender parity or equality, we have necessarily attained equity. I think these are two different things. So before I come back to your question, I would like to say what we should be pressing for is equity. Because as much as gender equality is very important, and we should strive for that, but it's not enough to just finish in saying, in this leadership position, let's say of our country, or members of parliament, we have attained parity. We have equal number of women MPs and equal numbers of men MPs. I think the question is the quality of relationship that these women MPs are having with men MPs. Because many of the times you find that, in spite of the fact that you go in the room and you find women leaders in the room, but still, men will say, no, wait, you speak second. Or she'll stand there or sit there and say, I have to wait for them to speak first, or be policed around. So nafikiri hii inaeleweka sana. Yani kwamba wasiseme tu kwamba tuko kwenye chumba, tumeshawaleta hapa, mko nusu yetu. Unaona tuna usawa. Usawa usiishie tu kwenye equality, uishie kwenye ubora wa mahusiano ambayo tunapata kati ya mwanaume na mwanamke. Kwamba naweza nikaongea, ukaheshimu mawazo yangu. Unaweza ukanisikiliza, sikubaliani na hiki. Tukasikilizana. Kwa sababu nikija hata kwenye issue ya mahusiano, mimi nimefanya kazi kwenye behavior change organization, na tunazungumza kuhusiana na masuala kwa mfano ya VVU, HIV and AIDS. Age ya wasichana 15 to 24 sasa hivi data inaonyesha wana maambukizi sana. Na ukiangalia some of the reasons, unakuta kuna ile negotiation power ambayo ipo kati ya mtoto wa kike mdogo ambaye ana mahusiano na mwanaume mkubwa. Unaona hawa kama partner ambao ni sawa, lakini wakiingia chumbani anamwambia hapana, utafanya ninavyotaka mimi. Msichana hawezi kusema hapana bila kutumia condom, mimi siwezi kufanya mapenzi na wewe. I will not have sex with you if you won't use condom. So that negotiation power inakuwa haipo. So what I'm insisting here is equality is good, and I'm really for that. But I think tusiishie tu kwenye equality. Let's press zaidi, twende kwenye equity, that the quality of relationship that we are having in the same room allows for me to stand up, speak, and you respect my opinion. Not because I'm a woman, no, but because my opinion matters. Kwa sababu mawazo yangu ni muhimu. Hiyo ni kitu muhimu sana. Kwa nikija kwa upande wa Tanzania, I think tuna wanawake kwa kweli, I would say, wanajitahidi sana kugombea, wanaenda kwenye majimbo. Nafahamu tuna wengi tunawafahamu hata kwa majina. Wanaonivutia sana ni wanawake ambao wameenda kwenye majimbo ambayo kwa kawaida tunajua yana mfumo dume sana, lakini bado wakaweza kusimama, wakauza sera zao na wakachaguliwa. Kwa hiyo hao ni watu wazuri tunaweza tukajifunza kwao. So maybe to just finish, naweza nikasema what I believe is people are not born gender biased. Na nisema people, I mean both. Kwa sababu pia naomba tueleweke hapa, tukizungumza masuala ya usawa wa kijinsia, si wanaume tu wanaotushusha. Saa nyingine tuna hata wanawake tunaoheshimu sana. Wanaweza ukafanya kitu anakuambia unafanyaje hivyo? Mwanamke huwezi ukafanya hivyo. Kwa hiyo tunapozungumza gender equality, men are not just the target to be involved. Even women, we need to continue engaging ourselves so we change our mindset. People learn about gender bias through interaction. Customs and traditions are passed from one generation to another generation through interaction. Kwa hiyo naweza kusubscribe na Samuel. Kama kuna institution that we should focus on is family. Kwa sababu wakati a boy yuko nje anacheza mpira au amekaa sebleni anaangalia TV, dada yake yupo jikoni anapika, unamjenga huyu kijana aje aweje baadaye? So lazima tuanze chini. We should start in the family. Lakini pia kuwaonesha wasichana our definition is not synonymous with kitchen boundaries. Yani sisi tujione umefanikiwa ukiwa mama bora na mke bora. Yani hizo ndo sifa. Hata ufanikiwe upande mwingine aje, bado mtu atakushusha tu hujaolewa.
Rebecca.
Kwa nini tunaweka hizi qualifications za mafanikio kwamba ukifanikiwa vizuri mwanamke ni uwe umeolewa? Mimi naamini hivi, kuolewa ni kuzuri sana. Mimi pia I'm married. Kuwa mama ni kitu kizuri sana, lakini hizo zisiwe ndo the only standard to measure if a woman has achievement or if a woman is successful. We can be lawyers, we can be doctors, we can be anything that we want to be. Then we can also be good mothers and good wives. Si lazima tuchague kimoja kingine tuache. What about going with both? So that is my message.
Ladies and gentlemen, is there anyone who have a question? Because I don't know if we are Girl, you're on fire. Anyone else? We take questions from there. Please make sure your questions are very short and straight to the... Short and straight to the point. Sawa, ituangalau tuchue maswali mawili au matatu. Maswali tafadhali.
Okay, Madam Habiba from Duse. I haven't any question, but I have something to share with you. Here I have a certificate. My certificate heading is Girl Power Certificate. I was awarded it in 2017 nilipokuwa kidato cha 4, na nimekuwa ni member wa Gender Club kwa upande wa female miaka 7, na kwa namna moja ama nyingine kiukweli nimekuwa I'm happy.
Sawa. Sasa kwa sababu ya muda, wageni tunataka kuondoka, naomba uchangie kidogo au ulize swali tu.
Okay. Yes. Nachotaka kuchangia ni kimoja. Kiukweli presenter wametoa kitu kizuri. We are not allowed to depend more from the men. And here I have something to share with you. Is this one. When a girl stands alone, she can do anything without any obstacle from anybody. Me, I'm eye examples.
We are now in the digital world, and the whole world is now talking about blockchain technology. How can you help us to get the education about blockchain?
And innovations that are now coming in, whether it's through various digital technologies, blockchain, we see 3D manufacturing, artificial intelligence. You probably know a lot more about it in your generation, and you will do, than we do in ours, because it's all very much permeating now the education system, and it's excellent to see that you're already being exposed to those ideas here in your tertiary education here in Tanzania. Now, there's a number of technologies where we, particularly blockchain, where I think there's still a lot of questions as to how that is going to unfold and the impact it's likely to have on the financial sector. And I know in the World Bank we're looking at that, but we haven't necessarily reached a position where we want to put public as yet. But I think that that overall, the point I would make is that young people, women and men, keep an eye on what's coming down the pipe in terms of new technologies and how your economy is likely to look in 10, 20, 30 years. Because that's the economy that you're going to grow as professionals in, and it's the economy that your children are going to grow into. And, invest in your education, of course, but also invest in becoming able to learn and adapt to new technologies as they come into production. Now, with Tanzania's move towards industrialization, what you should see is a real opening on technology. So the kind of course that you are doing should be oversubscribed at this point, because these are skills that are going to equip you well to work in the businesses that will experience growth. In terms of what we are doing as the World Bank, we have a big investment in skills. So it's Skills for Jobs. It's a very interesting partnership between the Ministry of Education and the private sector, and identifying tertiary institutions that require additional investment in upgrading the courses that they offer in exactly these kinds of areas, and looking at keeping in mind the development of the digital economy, of all the new technologies that are coming into place. So certainly that is something that we're looking at. Before I pass on to Sandy, I just wanted to make another couple of comments, if I may, Mama, because I know we're going to be closing soon, but I wanted I was so stimulated by what my co-panelists were saying. I wanted to offer a couple of thoughts. One on culture and one on financial issues. Firstly, just on culture, it really strikes me that when in conversations about culture, we talk about culture as if it is static, but it's actually dynamic. And we all influence culture. We're not victims of culture. We are shapers of culture. And you look in any society and how in any cultural aspect, it is continually shifting over time. It's always important to remember that even while gender bias may be the culture today, it doesn't have to be the culture tomorrow. It depends what we collectively decide. So that's one point. And then just one point I think is so important. I wanted to compliment Sandy's comments on gender parity, and also pick up on a point that your mother made to you about never always have financial independence. It's really key. And when I look at Tanzania and I look through the lens of what would really make a difference here, it's about legal changes and enforcement in inheritance law, in land law, that would ensure that women and girls inherit equally to men, that they are entitled to establish the same financial basis girls are as their brothers. And that's what made a fundamental change in Europe and developed societies. Suddenly it wasn't just the money goes through the man, from father to son. The money goes from the parents to the children equally. And it's that kind of change that can structurally shift the way in which a society shares wealth. And it is true that unless we shift the balance of economic power towards women in that structural way, we'll continue to be fighting. And once we shift it in that structural way, then so many opportunities open up. What we see with access to financial services is that women so often don't have the collateral to borrow. So we have to the financial sector is always trying to invent tools about movable collateral. They can make their sewing machine or their bicycle their collateral, but actually they just need to be the same as men and have land that they can borrow against. And then automatically that puts them into another league. So I just wanted to highlight that as being absolutely central to empowerment. And I think, we can do a lot in Tanzania by focusing just on that. Thanks.
Thank you. Sandy, you have something to add on that?
Thank you. I won't say anything more about blockchain because I think Bella's answered that question. But on the second question around gender-based violence and what we do about that, I think just picking up on what Bella was saying, there is clear evidence that the more economically empowered women are, the less likely they are to face gender-based violence, and the bank has some information on this. But in terms of that's kind of part of the solution, but in terms of the actual problem, I think listening to what Rebecca and Samuel were saying, it starts in the home. I mean, that piece about how you're taught about how you should behave within the home and outside the home starts in the home. And that continues at school, and that continues in the media and the things that you see. So it's very multifaceted. So we have to start teaching both girls and boys about violence and the acceptability of that. And that has to start with, I think, a cultural change. But you can have the laws, you can have all the laws you like on the books that say you can't do that. But if people are continuing to do it and the laws are not being enforced and punishment is not being had, or you cannot access justice either for that, then it really doesn't matter what laws you've got on your books. And I do know from going on various mission travel, part of the challenge that women do have is that, particularly in rural areas, is accessing law enforcement to stop it happening in the first place. So that when I first studied law, one of the first things I learned that one of the biggest ways to deter people from committing a crime was that if you knew you were going to be caught. So that the less likely you are to be caught, the more likely you are to commit that crime. So I think what we have to do in all societies, and I'm not picking out Tanzania here in particular, but in all societies, is we have to make sure that, and I believe you do have the laws on the books that say you cannot do that, that it's then enforced. And the chances of being caught and the chances of being punished are raised. That's one of the key things. So it's multifaceted. But that element of it, from a legal perspective, that if you do it and nothing happens, you're going to find it very difficult to stop. And one of the areas where it's actually worked as an example, so in the UK, we used to have a lot of speeding. And they introduced these what are called speed cameras. So that if you went past a certain mileage, you'd be caught on camera, pictures taken, and you get a fine. That reduced speeding almost overnight because the chances of you getting caught were immediate as soon as you went past the speed camera. And so it reduced accidents, it reduced people being knocked over, all the issues you got with speeding, because you were going to be caught. And I think we mustn't underestimate that. And that really is a challenge. And particularly if you live in rural areas, what are you going to do? And then where are you going to move to away from your perpetrator? Which again comes back to economic empowerment and making sure that women are economically empowered to make those choices and to get away from those situations. But I just go back to the point. The laws are there. It's just they're not always being enforced.
Okay, so we don't have more time. Before we go, I'll ask Sam. We're going to continue. This conversation continues because I see Rebecca writing a lot there. And I have a question to ask you what Sandy actually said about the law. Now that we have the law passed and people are, yes, will be punished, but how do we contribute to continue to make sure that child marriage doesn't happen in Tanzania? So the law is there, yes, what do we do? So I'll come back to you, but I want to respect your time, and so I'll just give the mic to Sam to give a vote of thanks to both of you, and then Sam will invite the person responsible, I believe, and we have something small to give, I believe.
I think, we can all agree that you do not have to be a woman to be inspired by Sandy's story and Bella's speech and Rebecca. So I'm really, really inspired by the events of today. And it really is pushing me to think about what more I can do to move this agenda. So I know we're pressed for time, but I would like to appreciate very, very much your presence, Sandy. I know that the World Bank can be a bureaucratic organization. And the kinds of timeline we pulled off with this event, there must be exceptions that were made to accommodate us today. So I'm really grateful. It shows how passionate you are, how committed you are to the case of women empowerment. Bella, thank you very much for coming. When we were getting in touch with you as a committee, we thought, actually, I went into this dinner one day and we had the country director for the World Bank. I didn't know much about you, but I thought, that woman is so cool. We went for dinner, just, accommodated everyone. Very insightful. So I thought, okay, why don't we give it a shot? And that's really how we got in touch with you. So again, thank you for remaining cool. We'll come to you again at some point. Rebecca is a friend of mine for years and years when we were in university. So to see the impact she's making in this country, to see how many girls she's inspiring, to see how much she's moving legislation is just incredible. And I'm so proud of what you're doing. So thank you again for coming. Again, the invited guests, thank you for taking your time. But this event will not be a success it is without you participants. Both the participants and the organizers. There is a group of dedicated men and women, I'm glad to say, who worked really hard, really long to make this thing a reality. So I just want to see the organizing committee. I want to see Smart.
Okay, so as they're coming,
I want to see Smart, and everybody else, please, just stand up. But we have a little gift for you, Sandy. I think it does match a little bit with your scarf. So, great. There's more? Okay, there's more. Fantastic. Oh.
We have one for Bella.
Oh, we have one for Bella.
Thank you so much, Bella.
I wonder how big your collection must be, Bella, of these rectangles.
Thank you for your insights. And most definitely we have one for Rebecca.
Of course.
Thank you. And Sam, I just have a hug for you.
But as you leave, I just want you to take a few minutes as you step out. There are ladies who are doing have small businesses and they sell fashion stuff and everything. If you can just, on your way out, we would like you to take a look and see and buy if you haven't. Yeah.
So
they will decide to showcase their products.
I'm going to ask the rest of us to still remain sitting because the session continues. All right.
Stand us from me, baby, I've been